Hello YouTube and welcome to another review, and this time we have ITALERI's World War II British Infantry. This was previously an ESCI kit, and that's pretty much how I remember it as. It's 172 scale of course, and again it's War Games approved, but this is essentially an old ESCI kit, and not a bad kit it was indeed and still is. I always wanted this as a kid, but I could never find it. It was never around. It came out around about the early 1980s, and if you've listened to my other reviews, you probably always hear my moans about struggling to get my hands on British infantry kits. So I'm glad I've got this one in the end. So we're going to take a look at this today. I bought this for around about £10–11. Quite the high-end price wise for a kit which probably at the time was on par with the Airfix kits in terms of price, but that's not the case now. Airfix have British Infantry a new release, and that's half the price of this one. So whereas this one, the detail is very good, it is double the price. So but a good kit it is too. So we'll have a look at this. Box art is pretty good. It does look like a D-Day sort of type thing, although if it is, he wouldn't have had time to set up a Vickers machine gun on a beach like that. You can see in the background there's lots going on, so there wouldn't have been enough time to set a Vickers up, no way. So that's probably the only sort of fly in the ointment I've got with the artwork. But it looks good, and I do honestly think that British infantry do look the best, sort of getting into your late 1940s during the war. So your 43s and your 44s and your 45s. The equipment looks good. You know, even the helmets just with a bit of scrub on look great, and you know, they really are good looking soldiers. So more than a match for the Germans, and we'll have a look at this kit in depth. Rear of the box, standard old fare, gives you quite a basic look, and it's just giving you a list of basic colours. As always, they always want you to use their paints, yeah, looking very good. You get, that's the exact size of the figure they're saying. It does work out approximately 172. There's no real discrepancies for this. I've got a following review to come of Hella British Infantry, which is quite intriguing as well, but we'll go through that after this one. So 50 unpainted figures, and like I say, this is from the 1980s, and a very good kit it is too. So this, about 11 quid it cost me, and I think I had to go to eBay. Very hard to get my hands on. It was not easy. In fact, I struggled to get my hands on any of the British infantry kits. Really struggled. I got two that came through this week, and this was one of them. The other one being the Hella British Infantry, which I thought was worth a look. So without further ado, I think we'll go straight into the sprue. Now let's zoom in. And I'm also going to come down a bit so we avoid the white of the background. So here they are. This is our first look here. We've got the guy on the Vickers, and we've got the loader. We've also got a guy crawling with a Bren. I've only read, but I mean, you can tell by looking at it, the Vickers doesn't stand very well. Also, when I read the review many moons ago on this from Plastic Soldier Review, they said there's problems with this guy standing. You can tell as well, he's very narrow. So if I tilted it that way, you can probably see there's not a lot going on to spread the the load there, so he is going to be a difficult guy to get standing. The loader, yeah, it's reasonable enough. How he connects in with the Vickers, I can only say it's probably not far away. I'm not expecting miracles with that, but it'll be pretty reasonable. Uniform wise, just taking a look at the top guy, which is our guy crawling along there. He's wearing the British pattern 37 equipment webbing, which was very efficient. You could adjust it to anything you really wanted. Obviously the saucepan type helmet, which was quite practical, a little old-fashioned, and considering the British had had it since World War I before, at least it kept the rain off the back of your neck. The British did experiment with the American helmet. That was found to be too heavy, and if it did rain, British are obsessed with rain by all accounts, you would get a badly wet neck by wearing the American helmet. So they did experiment, they didn't think it was good enough, so they retained the saucepan helmet. So here's our first. Now, some of these do suffer from our old favourite, the slightly limp looking ESCI ITALERI pose. This is no exception. I don't exactly know what he's doing. I think he's throwing a grenade, but let's hope not. It's not going to get very far. Let's zoom in and have a little look. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, unfortunately, by all accounts, he is throwing a grenade. I would say if you ever served with this chap, you just want to stay well away from him. I don't think that grenade's going to go very far. Next to him we have a guy who's pretty much, well, he looks rather casual. Bayonets out, Lee Enfield, not a bad model of a Lee Enfield at all. Webbing and detail is great. You know, it really is, it's not a bad looking kit, to be honest. Detail is, as you usually expect from the old ESCI kits, is very, very good. That is mainly a repeat all the way down till I get to the lower part. So what I'll do, I'll fly straight across to this section here. Now again we have a radio operator with no base, just like the Vickers. Now he isn't going to stand very well either, that's for sure. He is again the same, he's quite narrow on the base. So as a result, they probably could have made better use of the radio to just make that a bit wider, but they haven't, so that's a bit of a shame. Again, there's another well detailed model of a guy. He's taking a shot. The butt isn't exactly snug in his armpit, but it's more on the shoulder, so he probably will feel a bit of pain firing like that, although it's not as bad as the American rifleman at the American Infantry set I reviewed some time ago. Again, we have similar guy, he's taking a shot too, but he's kneeling. Not bad models at all. And this guy's got a Thompson. It does look rather long. You do question whether he would. I mean, this is a late war British infantry set. They're probably more likely to have had this then, I would say. We did buy a lot of Thompsons, and we did use them a lot in the desert, to be honest. That was pretty much the only field we had going pre-1943. But they were very expensive, so it's more likely would have a Sten. But there is a lot of detail on that, although it does look a bit long. And these guys are just showing a little bit of movement. Next sprue down we have our guy with his Sten, and he's helping a wounded colleague. It's not bad, we've got a couple of those, so it takes up a bit of the sprue, as you can see there. So probably one's enough, I'd say. Likewise, we have only got one radio operator, which is a good sign. Sometimes people overdo radio operators, you end up with two, but that's good, there's only one. Here we have the Piat. Not bad. I mean, it's the usual mistake with the Piat. It's just one. It's not a bipod. It's just one sort of strut coming down, which you just push into the dirt, and that steadies it. I'm not too concerned about that. You can easily snip it off, and it still wouldn't look too bad. You can bend that round, so no real problem there. And he's also got the pack, which contains the projectiles in. So all in all, looking quite accurate. Yeah, I don't know if he's got... Just kind of looking whether he's got some sort of hood or scarf at the back there. I'm not entirely sure on that. It looks good, whatever it is. Quite like it. There's the old favourite, some guy going nuts, clubbing someone to death. So that's quite popular in all manufacturers' sets, so a bit of hand-to-hand. We've got a couple of those, so a little bit of an issue. What have we got there? Similar, just the other way up. Exactly the same, just the other way up. We have got an officer. So let's have a look at him. And there he is. Now I don't know whether he's got some sort of riding crop or something along that effect. I haven't identified what that is. It's possible it is some sort of riding crop. He's got his revolver out. Although again, his pose doesn't really look like he's meaning anything in particular. But not bad. Reverse side, absolutely packed with equipment. We've got no issue there. Everything is as it should be. There is a pickaxe on the back. Airfix did a similar thing with their set. There was a pickaxe, but they didn't do it as well as what ESCI have done. But ESCI do it better because the mould is coming in from 2 points. Airfix always just use one, which is why you get a lot of fade out on the equipment, guns, rifles and things like that. So this mould's coming in from 2 ends, and that really does do the trick there. Good bit of detail with the radio operator. There's our guy on the back. Underside of the Piat, and this detail on there again, which I'm quite happy about. They don't need to do that, as I always say. It's our guy with a club. He's got equipment on as well. That's our guy who is just sort of casually walking with his rifle. Again, he's got plenty of equipment on there. Similar with our guy limply throwing the grenade. There's our guy crawling with the Bren, and he's got good detail on the underside as well. The Bren, it's pretty obvious that's a Bren, so that's quite good as well. Quite happy with that. There's our guy with the Vickers. It's, you know, it's typical sort of ESCI at the time. They just threw in all manners of equipment, you know, which was great, you know, really fabulous. I'm not saying they did it spectacularly well. I mean, Airfix would probably make a kit out of the Vickers, but you've got a Vickers, and I would have been more than happy with that as a kid. Like I say, I just couldn't get my hands on this kit, so now I've got it. That's quite exciting. See if we can see the old officer. There he is. So that's him again. He's not wearing much in the way of equipment. I'm surprised there isn't something extra like a map case or maybe even his water bottle. It's a bit surprising, but there you go. And like I say, the object, I don't know, I'm just presuming it is a riding crop. But yeah, it's not a bad set. In terms of repeats, you know, there's about 3 of these chaps on each run. So these ones here that you're seeing, there's a good 3 of those. There's quite a lot. 1, 2... yeah, there's 3. So you do get a lot of repeats. But it is not a bad kit, I'd have to say. Going on price, obviously Airfix, you know, just nudges it on price alone. You know, 5 or 6 quid for a British infantry set's pretty good going, especially one it's got packs of equipment. Detail isn't as sharp as this one, but you know, this one, like I say, is double. It's nearly double the price, so each to your own. So this one's nudging almost Caesar prices, and I mean the Caesar one is probably a little bit better. The Revell set has minimal posing in it, and probably after this one I'm going to show you the set which has surprised me the most, and that's another British infantry set, and that's the Hello one, so that will follow this video. But all in all, okay, so I'd say Airfix hold the thing on price, you know, 5 or 6 quid is good. But this one is, you know, ugh. If it wasn't for the price, this one would have the crown, but so far. But yeah, it's just packed with stuff. Like I say, it's just, unfortunately, it has got the odd limp pose in, you know, which is a shame. And obviously, don't think, I mean, the British pattern field dress, I always say, was quite ahead of its time. Although it's very basic in its look, you can flash it up by just putting red flashes on the shoulder to just denote which regiments they are. You know, just you can add a little bit of detail, and that was brought in just to keep morale going. You know, if you were a guards unit, you wouldn't want to look like the ordinary infantry unit. You were quite proud of what you'd done, so they introduced these top sort of shoulder flashes, which came in different colours depending on the unit and things like that, but that was for that reason. Well, yeah, not bad. I mean, it's a basic model of a Vickers, but it's enough to do the job. Again, probably the loader doesn't look like he's much interested. Sitting like that with the Vickers, it is, I always say this, the Vickers more a defensive sort of weapon used in the World War II, so I mean, it wouldn't really matter too much he was in that upright position. I think it was just took too long to set up. If you were under immediate fire, it would take you a little bit of time to set that up, and yeah, you would be lower in your position to do that. But nice bayonet on this chap, it came through very well. None of that sort of, you get on a lot of kits where it just disappears or it's too fat. Again, that's quite a good one. I quite like the Bren guy. And that looks really good. There you go, he's got his bayonet hanging. He's got the pickaxe sticking out, like I say. I mean, Airfix struggled with that one. It is a bit close to his head, but Salave, at least to put something on. You can trim it off if you don't like it. But yeah, quite impressed with that, and if I was a kid I'd have loved this one, so You know, this was the one I was always after, but because, like I say, back in the 80s there wasn't much in the way of British infantry kits. You're kind of not spoilt for choice, but there's a lot more available now. And this one was the one I wanted but couldn't get it. Now I've got it and I've seen it, so I'm quite happy. But, so that was my review of the ITALERI British Infantry World War II 172 scale. Not a bad set, but on the pricey end it's about 10-11 quid and hard to get cheaper, I've checked. So maybe wait and see what happens with the price on that one. I don't know, probably on eBay you'll pick something up, but Amazon certainly it's retailing about 11 quid, so it is a bit of the high end for an old kit, which I don't think originally cost much more than the Airfix one, to be honest. So there we have it. So that was, and actually if you look at that artwork, I'll zoom that in, you can just see he has actually got a shoulder flash on there. And that's just a generic labelling, they've put King's Regiment on there. Yeah, it is sort of, looks like a sort of riding crop sort of cane that the officer's got there. But yeah, it's not a bad little set. Hang on and watch my Hello one and you might get a little bit of a surprise there. So that was my review of ITALERI's British Infantry World War II 172 scale, formerly ESCI, and War Games approved as the estate, but there's nothing different in there to associate that with wargaming. It's still the same set I knew many years ago. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you very shortly, I think.